This is going to be a brief demonstration of how to input a database into the information into a QR code on a Smartjet Duo printer. If you guys have any questions, please call Gateway Coding and we will help you in any way we possibly can. Thank you. Here we go. We're going to go in and tell you how to enter a new message into your coder. All right. First, we want to hit the V design. All right. Then we're going to click the new. All right. That will open up. Now we're going to give this a name. All right. Now we're going to increase our template width here just so we have some room to work with, and then we'll narrow it back down at the end. All right. So there, we're a little bit wider than we normally are, but we'll shrink that up at the end. Because we're going to need to be in, for this template, 1.9 centimeters. So we'll change that up at the very end, but it just gives us more room to work with. All right, we click this symbol up here, and the first thing we're going to do is add our image, which is our logo for the T. That's a transparency app logo. It'll first come up with a generic image. We'll go over here to the image path. We'll click on this, and we're going to scroll down because we've already put this image on the machine. So there's your T right there. Hit open. Now it's up there. Now we can resize this. Now I'm doing this remotely from a computer that I'm connected to, so it's easier to do the entries into this. It just gives you a little better feel for it. But if you're using it right from the controller, it's best to use the mouse rather than use the touch screen. All right, we're going to put that up in the corner. We can always resize this later. All right, now we're going to need to add our text. All right, now we're going to add text. So we click this, enter our text. All right, that'll bring in this screen here. Type in whatever text we want on there. To go down to the next row, just hit your enter key and it will bring you down to the next row. And once we're done, we hit the check mark. All right. So now this is the wrong size. Now we can come over here to the right and we can downsize the font. And once again, once we get this put over here, we can resize that later again if we want to also. And we'll move that right up there. And we want to make sure we're trying to stay within that 1.9 centimeters. All right, now we're going to put in our barcode, or our QR code. So we click the barcode. All right. You see now where it says static text, it doesn't give us any other options. All right. So we're going to close all that because we haven't downloaded our database yet from the thumb drive. So we're going to have to go to the thumb drive and download the database. If your database is already loaded down onto the controller from the thumb drive, you won't need to do this. So we click the three buttons. We click right up here for the file manager. We're looking for the database. Okay. All right, and we see those databases over here. Now we're just going to take all three of these files. Those are on the jump drive. All right, I can move one of them or I can move all three of them. So I'm just going to move them all three over there. All right. Alright, so now all three databases, all that information is copied onto the controller itself. So we no longer need the thumb drive, and we can remove it if we need to. After you remove the thumb drive, you can put in your Wi-Fi connector for your mouse and your keyboard. So now we click here, we go back to our barcode. Alright, now you see we select database because that's where we want the information to come from. Next. Alright, now we need to load the database. It's a CSV file. And it's going to ask us the file path. Now the first row header, what we're going to do there is keep that first row header, because I'll show you what that's going to do when we load up the file. You see the first row where it says sample database 1, that is going to be the name of that file when it comes up. So I'd like to put that up there so it just doesn't give it a random name like F1 or F2. So those are my three different files that I can choose from. All right. So now you see there's our database. And we finish. Okay, now our database is down there at the bottom. And I hit OK here, but that's not what you want to do. You want to go into the sample database 1, select it. You're going to see where now it says error, no barcode. Okay, because we didn't move it over. So now we go double click on that barcode area, select that database, and move it over to destination. All right, now you see where now we've got the barcode. Now we can move that up and resize all of that. So it's in there. We can close this out. Drag that into the corner. And we want to make that as large as we can, but still also be able to fit all of our text in there. And if it's too big, we can always change it later. All right, now we need to put in the part number, which is going to be the number that runs up the right-hand side. I'm just going to increase this size a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. All right, so we're going to click that tool, hit text. We're going to type in our 12-digit number. And when we're done, we hit the check mark. Now you see the text is in there. It's very large and it is in the wrong orientation. So let's make it smaller. All right. And now if we go up on the top of that little window there where it says advanced, now we can see that symbol. That's going to change our angle. And we need to rotate that text 270 degrees. We got our check mark. Boom, there you go. Now we can put that wherever we need to. All right, now we can go and resize that, make it a little bit bigger. So if we come back over to general, and now we increase the font size. And move that back up. And if you find that's not big enough, you can go back in and increase that in any time. What I'm wanting to do is resize that a little bit or move it a little bit. So it gives me two options because there's two things in that box. So if I click on the blue area, one is the number and one's the barcode. So if I click on that side, you see where the number highlighted, so I can change that. Looks like I'm within that 1.9 area where I want. Shrink that barcode down a little bit, and then move this over a little bit more. There we go. All right, so that's the whole code we want in there. Now we hit this. Now we're going to edit that size of that field again. So now we're going to change this back to 1.9 centimeters. And we hit edit. All right, now it's exactly, now you can see everything is going to fit within that 1.9 centimeters. So we save it. Transparency app. There we go. Notification. Okay. And that is it. So we go back, hit the home key. All right, we can see the barcode there. Right down at the bottom, you see where it says what database is located with it. If you hit that database, it'll show you the information in that database. All right. Now you've got these two numbers up here. One is your start print and one is your stop print. Your stop print you need to put as the very bottom line of your database. So, and we don't want this loop on. If the loop is on, when it hits the bottom of that database, it will start back over with row 1, which we don't want to do. So keep that loop off. When it does hit the very end of that loop, or the very end of your file, it will stop. If you hit the settings key, we can come in here, and if we turn all these things on, it's going to show us some more information on the screen. The WYSIWYG will make the barcode and everything update every time it changes the code. That's always kind of a nice thing to see on there. All right, there's some other settings, but everything else is good. We close that off. All right. And we hit start print. Okay, now we see where it says it's ready to print. Now let's see if we can trigger this thing and get it to print. And we'll see where it says ready. It will start saying printing whenever we trigger the printer. So there it says printing. All right. And you see on the database we're printing line number 1. Now we're going to tell it to print again. It went down to number 2. We tell it again. It's going to go to 3, and you can actually see the barcode change also. All right. Then we hit our stop if we're done printing. Now, if you need to, you can always go back in and change that start print. So if you stop at 9, it's going to remember when you go back in there to start at 9. But if for some reason you want to go back and start over again at another number, you can do that. So here, if we go back into vDesign, let's say we want to change the database that it's connected with. We had it hooked to database 1. So now we've got a new database. We want to connect to it. So first we hit the 3 dots and we unload the database. We double click on the barcode. There we go, opens up. Now we take that database 1, click on that, and move it over, get rid of it, move it over to the other side. Now we're going to load the database. So load the database, CSV. Open. Next. Yeah, make sure you hit the next there. And then finish. Now you see it down there. There's database 2. Click on it. Move it over to your destination. All right. Now you're connected up. So we can close that out. And now it says database 2 is connected to it. All right, so that's all it takes to change that over to your new database. So we go back to our home key. Yep, we want to make that change. All right, you see the new database. There's the information. This other screen down here is for our delay. Now on our delay, what that is telling us is on the very first number, that's telling you that is going to be how long your printer waits once it gets a detect signal to when it actually starts to print. The second one is a gap between your products. You can set that as low as you want. That's not really going to matter. The first one is the one you're worried about. In your settings screen up here, if we go into settings, you can see where it says it's asking about your line speed. All right, so that is when you change that speed. If the higher you make that number, the narrower your print is going to be. So if your print is wider than the 1.9 inches, you want to increase that number. If it's lower, you want to decrease that number. You should always be set to internal. Your print mode should be external if we're using the external photo eye, and internal if we're using the photo eye built into the print head. Same way with the encoder. We're not running an encoder here, so we are going to use internal. All right. You've got your resolution, your density. If you want to make things darker, you've got different settings in here. You just kind of have to play with them to see if you want to make your code darker or not. All right. Start it back up. There you go. You see the database is connected. And it's going to start back off on 4. So since we load a new database, we want to make sure it's going to start off on 1 and then go to 99 or whatever your last number is in the file that you sent over. And in order to change that, you have to stop the print. You can't make a change in there to that unless the print is stopped. So I'm going to come up here and tell it go back to 1. All right, now you see it's back to 1. So now if I had to start print, it's going to come up to number 1. All right, that's pretty much it. If you got any other questions, just give us a call at the office and we can help you out. We can make new videos for you. It's pretty simple. If you need anything else, please call. Thank you.